I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm going to go ahead and get started. It is 1:30 and I do have a lot of information to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So how does your company manage vacation, personal time off, sick time, jury duty, holidays, accruals? How does your company manage these without spending hours and hours keeping track of it? If on paper, well, that's a full-time job, even for a company with 25 or 50 people. And how about communication of time off? Is it currently via an email, a standard form to fill out perhaps, or maybe even a sticky note on the side of your desk? Not sure about your manager, but mine receives so many hundreds of emails every day. My request to take a week's vacation could very easily get lost in that shuffle of all those emails. Or that sticky note might fall off the side of her desk in the trash, never to be seen again. And if my manager does remember that I'm taking off for a week, how will this affect the projects that I'm planned or assigned to work on? Will this delay the schedule or increase the cost of the project? How can your project manager determine if anyone else is taking off at the same time? That would be a significant issue if our customer account management team were all on vacation the exact same week. I am sure you guys would not be happy. Speaking of our customer account management team, I am Sherry Dargenio, one of your customer account managers with Unanet. We have a team in place, 5 of us, assigned account managers to each and every client. We value our customers and we want to provide you guys the best possible service so you can maximize your Unanet investment. The customer account management team hosts these webinars bi-weekly to keep you up to date on topics that you have suggested to us. This webinar focuses on helping you understand how your Unanet instance can manage your leave projects simply and almost automatically. Your company will spend less time and money managing employees' time off, which leaves, no pun intended, you more time to take off for your own vacations. Unanet's leave management system for the timesheet user is available with all project license types, so every Unanet user can have access to this time and money saver. So a few housekeeping notes. You may experience some networking or internet delays or a lag in the response time. If your screen just stops altogether updating, just try dropping off and re-entering the conference again. If we have time at the end, I will answer questions for you live, so please type any questions or comments you have in the webinar chat or question box to the right of your screen. I have a very large amount of information to cover, so we may take up the full hour, but I encourage you to please still enter your questions in the question box, so at least a customer account manager that you have that's assigned to you can respond directly after the webinar ends. Or you can send your questions to cam@unanet.com, and your assigned customer account manager will contact you to help you better understand managing your leave projects. Unanet always welcomes comments, feedbacks, or suggestions, so feel free to email me at cam@unanet.com, and the customer account management team will address your input. We are always seeking new topics for webinars, so don't hesitate to send those ideas to me. So let's unlock the door to a better understanding on how to set up leave projects and tasks. I'll give you a few guidelines on when you should create a project or task to designate leave in Unanet and when to use each kind of leave balance. Budgets or accruals? Accruals. They're actually easier than you think once you give them a chance. I will explain about accruals, accumulating time off, based on how many months or years you're employed. I'll also give you some hints on the most common questions regarding setting and using accruals in Unanet. If it seems like a mystery now, I promise you we'll solve it. Requesting leave. I'll show you the process for requesting leave, the various statuses of a leave request, and the associated reports available to the timesheet user and their manager. Reporting. Here's where you will recognize the biggest benefit of all. Reporting leave balances for your employees, for project managers without calling HR, reporting on the impact of employees about to go on vacation. The approval process. There's no mystery here. The process is the same for leave requests as it is for timesheets and expense reports. This will look familiar to you. So once the door is unlocked, you'll have saved so much money and time, you'll want to request leave as soon as this webinar is over and head to the beach this summer. Unanet provides a capability to manage leave projects with either accruals or a budget of hours. A budget is a bucket or a budgeted number of hours to charge leave hours against. So you can set up a number of hours and deplete this balance as vacation is taken. An accrual plan is a plan to accumulate hours based on your company's business rules. For example, adding 4 hours a month per month of service and perhaps capping this for the first 3 years. But then after 3 years of service, the employee starts to accumulate 6 hours per month. Unanet has the ability to create any number of these plans and make them available to certain or all of your employees. Your business policies that you have defined can be enforced within Unanet based on the ability to set up these accrual plans and have a cap or a limit of a number of hours. Of course, one of Unanet's most valuable features is the reporting capability to immediately view real-time balances of these leave projects for the employees and managers, as well as human resources and admin. In addition, Unanet allows your employees to request pre-approved leave or time off and have the employees and managers determine if there's an impact on their current work assignments and resources for their team. So how do you decide whether to initially set up one leave project with tasks or individual leave projects? I have some hints for you. If vacation accruals will be set up and used in Unanet, a single vacation project should be established so the accrual plan associations can carry over from year to year. So anytime the admin would set up an accrual plan, this accrual plan will need to be associated with a leave project. If your organization does not need to set up date ranges or contain individual budget information, then organization assignment could be used for a vacation project. This is typical for the holiday project, which is a leave project. Organizations are added to the project under the people assignment, so each employee associated with an organization will have this leave project available in their timesheet to charge time against. That way you don't have to set it up each year. Once it's done, it's completed year after year. Otherwise, vacation could be set up as a task under one leave project. Other tasks could be created under this leave project, such as the examples I'm showing here on my screen, sick, PTO, or jury duty. Each of these tasks would contain a budget of hours allocated to have employees charge time against for hours off. This configuration allows for roll-up reporting to the project level. The Unanet company itself, we use this mechanism for leave projects, and we charge time off at the task level for our employees. And this is an example of what we had in our own Unanet system. All right, it is poll time. I'm going to launch a poll here. Which type of leave projects do you use? I'll give you a few minutes just to give me some feedback. All right, I'll close it up here. Sharing my results. I hope you can see this. Oh, great. Very good. So I have 47% of you voted, and having trouble seeing all of what I can see here. 88% of you use accruals. Great. That's great. So for both types of leave approaches, a leave project will be created and designated as a leave project. This can be found on the Project's Time tab. Setting this value will allow for various leave-oriented reports to include the option to report on leave projects only, such as the People or Project Schedule Details report, which I'll show later. If your company's leave policy is to have a bucket of hours available for a time period, usually the calendar year, the admin would need to ensure the Allow User Self-Assign option to be unchecked. This prevents users from charging to the project task unless they have an explicit assignment to the project or task. To set up a budget of hours, the person is assigned to the leave project or task with the number of hours set for a date range, usually for the calendar year, January 1 through December 31st. A quick tip, if you don't want the employees to exceed this budget of hours on the assignment, you would ensure the Exceed checkbox remains unchecked. Make sure. You can see here an example of that. That's on the assignment page. If the admin or project manager wanted to set these hours at the beginning of the year to a budget quickly and easily, they could run an assignment export, modify those budget hours for each employee, and then re-import the assignments back in for the next year. You'd also need to decide if your business rules dictate that employees can carry over balances from the previous year. These hours would need to be added to the new year's budget number of hours and when assigning for that new year. These are things to think about and decide upon for your business, but once you decide upon your business rules, Unanet can provide the setup and capability to enforce those rules. For accruals, this is a setup is a bit different, and it's done by your admin. You must still create leave projects, for example, a vacation project or a sick project, to have hours accumulate over time, but you have to still designate this project as a leave project by checking that Designate as Leave Project box under the Project Time tab, the same as for a budget. Then the admin would need to create your accrual plans. I'll be showing you this specifically in my demo site, but you can see I have many accrual plans available. Perhaps one for vacation that enforces your business practice of accruing 0.7 hours of leave per week for a total of 2 weeks vacation, or another accrual plan that accrues 0.1 hour per week or 0.5 hours per month for sick time for the first year, but then it increases to 0.2 for the next year. Your accrual plans can be completely tailored for whatever your business needs are. Maybe your policy dictates management employees accrue time at a different rate than non-management employees. In this case, you define two distinct plans. With each plan, you'll define an accrual schedule which determines the number of hours to be accrued for users having various months of service. Additionally, the various schedule entries can be defined with caps. You can see here, set up the time in caps and caps enforcement. As users accrue more time, the various types of caps may be used to limit the amount of available time that they can carry over, either annually or even each accrual period. If your policy includes a concept of charging carryover to a separate project, possibly to include an expiration of that carryover time, then you could define a carryover accrual plan associated with its own project and on some periodic basis, maybe annually as an example. You would transfer users' existing balances to that carryover plan. But if, on the other hand, your carryover policy is simply related to capping the number of hours that a person can accrue, you would not need this feature and instead just utilize that cap facility I showed you on the previous page on that setup of that accrual plan. The administrator needs to associate a person to an accrual plan, shown here. Remember, this is part of the setup process. The administrator does not need to then add any additional people assignment of the user to this project. This will wreak havoc on your accrual balances, and you'll be calling our support line. The accrual plans are associated with the user as part of the initial setup. Therefore, you will not have to each year return and add an assignment to that leave project. Administrators should not modify hours or dates of those assignments because it is not reported in the accrual reports. All balances adjustments should be done via the accrual adjustment screen per the person's profile. Excuse me. On the left tab is the accrual option with the adjust. And here's where you would make that adjustment, not with the assignment. Lastly, the accruals need to be posted periodically, either automatically at the beginning or the end of a month. How easy is this? Or if you want to, you can do it manually. The automatic accrual post process has to be scheduled on the admin schedule page in System Actions shown here. It can be run every weekday, because it will only post on the day set in your accrual plan. Your accrual plan automatic posting options are the beginning of the period and the end of the period. The automatic accrual post will post on that day or the first time it runs after that day. Many users think that a daily schedule will post daily and create an incorrect overage of posted hours, but it really doesn't work that way. It really only posts on the day set in the accrual plan. So another tip here, if you are manually posting a December accrual plan in January, it will not show up in reports for the previous year. Again, that makes balances look incorrect. You should post on time or possibly use the automatic accrual posting to prevent this from happening, especially at the end of the year posting. Be sure to post before the first day of January so your accrual balances for the year will report correctly. I have some example reports here for you to refer to, since reporting is one of the biggest benefits of Unanet offers. Employees can check their leave balances to see how much vacation, sick time, personal time that they have without waiting for a quarter report from HR. You can see this person's budget of hours is 160. He has taken 112 hours off already so far, and he has a balance of 48 hours left. This is a people accrued details report showing how much time is accrued or accumulated per person per plan. Note in gray is the projected number of hours in the future that will be accrued. Therefore, a user can run this report to determine how many hours will he or she have by the end of June, let's say. Will I have enough hours to take a week off? Well, it looks like yes. By 6/19, Sherry will have 44 hours, so I can take a whole week off at that point in time. The People Accrual Summary Report shows an example accrual report with the reporting option of showing the liability, charges in the leave project. So the project manager can track this liability across his project's life cycle. And the liability is calculated simply as those number of hours off times the person's cost rate. So let's move on to another poll. I've got another poll set up for you guys. This one, do you currently use leave requests? I'll give you a few minutes to respond. All right, looks like everybody's kind of done here. Let's see here. 33% yes, 67% said no. So let's find out if we can share some information to you about leave requests. All right, so leave request management. It's available with all product license types. A few administrator properties to note here before we discuss the process. The Enable Leave Request Time property must be checked or turned on to use leave requests. This is under the admin setup, admin properties. Another setting is to allow project approvers to view the entire timesheet, allows approvers to view the leave request when approving project time on a timesheet. So the approver wants to be able to see that leave request. The basic intent of Unanet's leave request is to facilitate communication between timesheet users and their managers regarding the requested leave or time off. This replaces the paper forms and the sticky notes and the other informal communication that currently may exist to request your time off. The managers might not have an official process to determine that impact of those leave requests that you are sending in. Using Unanet Leave Requests feature, the timesheet users can submit a leave request which will flow through their normal timesheet manager approval process. And there are a number of reports that are available to display the leave request details and the status. Many of those reports I'll show can display utilization or book time, and they can be configured to consider the leave time as booked. I'll demonstrate the leave request process and show some examples of these reports that managers can execute to determine just how a project's resources may be impacted when you consider users' requests for leave. So this shows the process of requesting time off in Unanet. The timesheet user creates a leave request, very similar to creating a new timesheet, and in fact, the Add Leave Request is right next to the Add New Timesheet. The leave request is filled out, then submitted to the approval manager, and then just like the timesheets and expense reports, the approval manager reviews the leave request with the help of some quick pop-up reports available right on the same screen as that leave request. And when the leave request is approved, the user will now view the leave request details in the same time period of the requested leave as a timesheet. In other words, in the week or time period that you've approved leave, the details of this approved leave will be at the top of that timesheet to remind you to fill out the timesheet cells and go on vacation. As you know, Unanet is a roles-based system, which means that what you see and do, as well as report on, it's directly tied to your job role or your job function in Unanet. So what you can view and what you can edit is defined by your role. And Unanet can limit or restrict who can see certain projects and who can edit certain projects, again, defined by your role in Unanet. The setup of roles, people, and projects are defined and created by your Unanet administrator. The two roles effective for leave management, it's that timesheet user and their approving manager. The timesheet user is the creator of a leave request and submits to your approving manager. The approving manager reviews and approves the leave request and can run reports to view the impact of this request for leave. The timesheet user must enter the hours of time into the timesheet itself, and the timesheet is then submitted for approval to the approving manager. So again, that does not populate the time in the timesheet itself. It only populates the very top here for informational purposes, because you can decide not to take time off, if you will. I've included a number of slides that have screenshots for what I'm about to show you live in Unanet. This first one is where you can find the plus leave request on your home page, and the leave request page pop-ups available to the time user. I won't take a lot of time on these reports, but I have included them here for your reference after the webinar is finished. And you can request a copy of my PowerPoint here from me by sending me an email to cam@unanet.com. So here's the screenshot for the page to submit the leave request for approval, and you can input your comments and add additional email notifications. And these are the pop-ups reports available to the timesheet entry user right on that page. And if I were to click on the leave balance report pop-up, it would look something like this. You can see the leave request for this user, Sherry, and the status of these leave requests. And this report is the other pop-up that's available on the Leave Request page to view the projects that I'm currently assigned to. Reports for managers include a list of leave requests and the reporting options available for this report. If the project manager is looking for just leave requests in use that haven't been submitted yet, the in-use selection could be selected to show who's thinking of taking time off and for what period. If there's a crucial time in the project, maybe a testing week that everyone should be available, the manager can then let the employees know. This is the People Utilization Report showing the level of work people are working and allocated to work for future work, and if there are any leave requests. The reporting options included here were to include leave requests shown with the black diamond in the particular time period cell. You can see those 3 black diamonds there. But it's also to include leave requests that haven't been approved quite yet. So as a manager, I can start to prepare and plan based on these requests, even though they may not have been approved yet or even sent to him or her. This is a periodic report available with the portfolio license that shows who has requested leave and when. Again, with the black diamond in the time period, the cell reflects a leave request and has been submitted. I'll show this in the live demo as well. So let's move on into Unanet now. There we go. So let's switch over to Unanet where I'm ready to log in as an everyday timesheet entry user. Now don't laugh, it's Matt Lauer, and I'm going to log in. And here's his dashboard. Now the left-hand margin again is called My Reports. It's a set of tabular-based reports, and I can set up a report and save it to my dashboard like I've done here. A list of these favorite reports that gives me quick access to them easily at any time. I love using these things. Across the top are the tabs available to this user based on his or her role, like we just talked about, and the licensing purchased for my Unanet. I have my list of timesheets and my expense reports, various statuses showing the current timesheet, one that's been submitted, and one that's been disapproved. So Matt will need to review those associated comments and modify and resubmit that one, looks like. And among my reports that I've saved, my favorite is My Work Assignments. This shows my current assigned work or the project tasks that I've been assigned to work with the budget and actual hours I've worked, along with any estimated time to completion and the estimated dates to completion that I've indicated on my timesheets or with the ETC under Time tab. Another favorite report back here is my personal calendar. I saved the criteria of this user schedule calendar report with the current month and to report on the plans of the projects that I've been assigned to and any tasks that I've been allocated to work. So it tells me exactly what I need to work on and how many hours. It looks like I've got 2 hours off every day at this point in time, or I guess Matt Lauer does. Not me, just Matt Lauer. He's only assigned to work 6 hours a day versus 8 hours a day. So he could be allocated to another project for at least 2 hours. A quick tip here to save a report in your My Reports, just because if you happen to not know, you click on the Back to Criteria. I'll just use the calendar as the example. Back to Criteria. And I can save the criteria with this button here to my home dashboard. Now it's going to give me an error at this point in time because I already have it saved there. But if I want to replace it, well, sure, why not? And then it should show up here in My Reports. So just a quick tip. The end timesheet user can also check their own leave balances as opposed to contacting that human resources person to verify vacation balances. And that can be done with this leave balance report. The end user can always know the current balances of any leave project or task that they've been assigned to charge time against. How convenient is this to check your own vacation balances at any point in time, and you know it's accurate to the second. So you can see Matt's current balance is approximately 75 hours here. Now notice that this leave balance report is really the user schedule details report. It's available to the timesheet user. And notice the plus plus right here next to the budget number of hours for the project vacation. This symbol indicates that it's a calculated accrued budget based on the accrual plan that Matt Lauer is associated with in his person profile. If I first look at the criteria for the report that I selected, let's go to the criteria. You notice I checked the calculate accrued budget and the option here. I want to also include, just to rerun, the include projected actuals to go look forward and just rerun this report again. Oops. I select it for all of them here. But it'll be grayed out now and know that it's calculated for the accruals through the end of the year, that time frame. So just another option. Go back to my home page. I also have set up vacation accrual details. This report is shown to accumulated hours for the current year as of today's date and in the future. And the future is featured in gray. This shows Matt has or will have 77.77 hours as of June 19th to be able to take off. So let's take a deeper look at the accrual plan used by Matt. I'm going to go ahead and log out as the timesheet user, and I'm going to log in as an administrator. So this is the admin role in Unanet, and the dashboard here looks very different than that timesheet user we saw before. There's more tabs available at the top, especially this admin tab. And also there's more or other reports and lists and are available, as well as all these great charts here. I'll scroll through here a bit. These are also related to which type of Unanet license your company is currently executing. Businesses can define as many accrual plans as they want. So let's go under the time setup for the admin. Under setup, and then under time, you can see you can get to here for accrual plans or here. Either way can get you where I want to go. And you can see here that I have two distinct accrual plans for our employees. The first one is a weekly accrual for 5-year increments, and the second one is a weekly accrual for a year. Notice the first one is automatically posted with that schedule that I talked about before. And if I select this first example 1, it's posted at the beginning of the month, right here, automatic period, beginning of the period. Let's take a quick peek at the schedule setup for this particular accrual plan. You see the months of service are set up for the 5-year increments with a cap of specific hours, 120, and it's calculated for each pay period. Also, the hours cannot exceed for each tier a cap of the number of hours to be selected here. If I had check exceed, then it could go over these cap hours. Okay. If I check Matt Lauer's profile under his accruals, let's take a look at the person. And that was my last person. I'll check and see. Oh, no, it wasn't. I have to go back to my people list. And let's look for Matt Lauer. Under his profile, and you can see here accruals, you can see he's associated with the first accrual plan, example 1. Let's check real quick to verify the number of current hours. Oh, yep, it's at 75.46 hours. If you remember, this was the balance shown on Matt Lauer's personal leave balance report. So accrual plans can be created and set up for not only vacation leave projects, but you could set them up for sick projects as well, or personal time off projects. They can be set up with accrual plans, again, remembering you can do it manually or automatic posting, scheduling it at the beginning or the end of the pay period. So let's take a look at admin accrual and the post. You can see here, this one here is automatically posted. And then their accruals here need to be posted either automatically at the beginning or at the end of the month, or manually down here. This one's manually. If your business policy includes a concept of charging carryover to a separate project, possibly to include an expiration of the carryover time, then you could define a carryover accrual plan. I'll show you that one. It's associated with its own project and on some periodic basis, maybe annually, for an example. Like this one's done here for 3 months. You transfer users' existing balances to the carryover plan for the next year. Now, the automatic accrual process has to be scheduled on the admin schedule, right here under admin, schedule, page in system actions. And you can see here, here's the automatic accrual post. It can be run every weekday because it will only post on the day set in your accrual plan. Your accrual plan automatic posting options are at the beginning of the period or at the end, and it'll only post on that day or the first time it runs after that day. Many users think a daily schedule will post daily and create that incorrect overage we talked about earlier, but it will only post on the day set in the accrual plan. But if you're manually posting, I'll just remind you once again, a December accrual in January, it's not going to show up in the previous year selection in the reporting. So it might make those balances look incorrect. So make sure that you post at the end of the year, especially with the automatic accrual posting. It will do it before the turn of the year, and it will prevent this from happening. Be sure to post before that first day if you're manual. The accrual plans are associated with a user as part of the initial setup. Therefore, you will not have to each year return and add an assignment to that leave project. Now, administrators should not modify the hours or dates of those assignments because it's not reported in the accrual reports. All the balances adjustments should be done via the accrual adjustment screen, and that's for the person. Let's go back to my home page again, and let's take a look at my last person. And under accruals, adjust. So you would adjust the amounts here, maybe adding and subtracting. Now, another hint here is when you select the accrual plan, you want to add hours, you have to put the plus in to add 5 or the minus. If you just put the number in, it won't work. So you need to tell if you're going to add hours or subtract hours. Okay? Another important note for a person's profile is that hire date. Let's look at this. I'm going to go ahead and not save that and check the hire date. This is the profile for Matt Lauer, profile tab here, the very first tab here, and what I'm really interested in is this hire date. Let's talk about this hire date. This date is specifically used to determine the months of service and for calculating accruals per the schedule that I showed you previously. It does not need to necessarily reflect the actual hire date of a person. For example, if you had a user that took a 3-month leave of absence, you might consider adjusting this hire date value forward by 3 months from its original value so that the accrual calculations would not include those 3 months if that's your company's policy. Prior to associating a user with an accrual plan, this hire date will need to be supplied on the person profile screen, so it has to be here. It uses this hire date. Please note that the hire date is distinctly different than the start date on the person's rate tab. The start date reflects when a user becomes recognized by Unanet for timekeeping and expense reporting. Unanet will not allow a person to create a timesheet prior to that start date. But the hire date is only used for determining months of service for an accrual plan. So let's Let's log out. Let's get back to that timesheet user, Matt Lauer, and back to his home page. Okay, I hope you guys are all still here. I know I've got a little bit more to cover here. I'm trying to go a little quicker. And now, similar to adding a new timesheet or an expense report, I can click on this plus leave request here to add a new leave request. So let's create one. I've selected the dates. Let's do next week. Let's take a week off next week, June 18th through June 22nd, and it automatically calculates these hours based on the default number of hours in your default week. Now, I can adjust this to be 32 hours, just not take the full week off or partial week. I could adjust it to be one day, just June 18th to June 18th, it automatically calculates 8. I can adjust it to be part of a day to let my manager know I'm taking a half day off, and then I put comments here. So let's take a full week off, and let's go going to the beach in Florida, where Sherry is located. Okay. Now I can, this left-hand sidebar, remember I showed you some sample screenshots in my PowerPoint. This is this tabular list of quick pop-ups to view my current leave balance and my current assignments to projects. And I can proactively verify that I do have enough leave to take off. So let's check and make sure. Yes, I do. I have 75.46 hours, so I can take 40 hours off, but I'm definitely dwindling down my balance here. And as well as the impact on the projects, these are my assignments. Let me open this up a little bit bigger for us to see. Here's what I'm working on, or Matt Lauer is working on and assigned to. So I need to make sure that, I'm not going to have a big impact on these assignments that I'm working on right now. So once I'm ready to have this leave request approved, I click the Submit button, just like I would for submitting a timesheet or an expense report. So let's submit this leave request. I can optionally put an email notification to notify myself or my manager or a list of people, and then I can put a comment in here. So the approval process can be set up the same as your timesheet and expense approval process. These leave requests actually follow your timesheet approval process. When that leave request is submitted to my manager via the Submit button, the leave request will appear in the manager's approval queue on his or her home page. Let's go ahead and submit this. Here are my details. And I'm going to log out as my timesheet user really quickly. I'll try to be really quick. And log in as that approving manager, Tom Brokaw. Now, again, his dashboard looks even different. He's a project manager, Tom Brokaw. And he's got, on the top of his, I just moved the approval queue to be up here. So let's take a look under Primary Approvals, under Leave, and there is Matt's leave request. So let's take a look at that. Oh, there it is, going to the beach in Florida where Sherry's located. So let's take a look here. So again, this approval process is the same as the timesheet process. When the leave is request is submitted to my manager via that Submit button, the manager, it will show up in his queue. There can be several primary and alternate approvals in the queue, specifically leave requests ready to be reviewed by Tom Brokaw. The manager approver alternates can approve leave requests as well on behalf of their managers. So the setup is as the alternates, just the same as the timesheets. The alternates would be the same. I can also send email notifications to help expedite that approval flow if a manager is not approving requests in a timely enough fashion, same as with the timesheets. So I've clicked in the queue. I'm looking at the timesheet. I can view these details and the date range, the comments, and the approval history so far for this particular leave request. Now let's talk about very quickly the bottom buttons here. They're the same for approving timesheets and expense reports. The Q button, following along in the queue of leave requests. Approve provides the ability to input comments about the approved leave request, where the approve arrow just goes and cycles through the next leave request on the queue without any comments or without having the ability to put in a comment. The disapprove button, it requires the manager to enter a comment when they disapprove, and this comment is sent back to the employee via an email. And finally, just skip. A skip arrow is allowing the manager to move on to the next leave request with approving or disapproving without approving or disapproving this particular request. Maybe Tom Brokaw, he's really in a hurry. He plans to come back later at a more convenient time so he can really review and do some of the analysis for the impacts of this person taking vacation. But to help that project manager determine the impact on current projects, this left-hand quick pop-ups reports are available to the project manager regarding this particular leave in this time period, 6/18 through 6/22. So let's just do a few of them real quick. The leave for the user, it shows the number of hours submitted for each day of that leave request. So that's showing for Matt Lauer. And the leave for his approval group. Now I can see all the other leaves submitted and approved in the same approval group for that same date range of this particular leave request, 6/18 through 6/22. So you can see here that Elizabeth Vargas has requested leave at the exact same time. So is that going to be a problem? Okay. The approval group impact on plans. So this is similar to that resource allocation report in that it's color-coded to reflect the number of hours planned for that date range of this particular leave request. Yellow indicates that the person's planned to work less than 50% of the time for that day. Green indicates the person's planned to work between 51 and 100%. And the red indicates greater than 100%. And the black diamond, let's see if we can find one with the black diamond in it. Oh, here it is. Elizabeth Vargas that we just showed earlier. She has vacation for this week. And this is already approved leave. And I'll just show one more, the impacted projects on plans. This shows the projects this person is planned to work on. So again, Matt Lauer is supposed to work on Space Station and Data Warehouse. So based on this information, the project manager can now determine very quickly what the potential impact of the week's vacation and approve or not approve this leave request. Okay, there are a number of reports which have the leave request reporting option in the criteria. For example, if I run a project schedule details report, let's go back to the home page for the manager. Project schedule details report. Let's just go over here and set it up. I just wanted to show you in the criteria options, you do have the option here on a number of reports to include relief projects only or to leave that out. So they could just run these reports, the schedule details on the plans for the leave projects only. So I wanted to show you that. All right, so let's go back to, we need to actually approve that leave request. So let's get in here and let's go to the primary approvals. Go to the leave request for Matt and let's approve it. Okay. And let's log out and go back to that timesheet user, Lauer. So once that leave request is approved, I can log back in and view the timesheet for that period. So let's create a timesheet for that period. It was 6/18, I believe. So here's the approved leave request in the completed state for this date range and for 40 hours. Now you can see it did not automatically populate the timesheet itself. So it's not going to result in an automatic population in the timesheet cell, well, first of all, you're not really sure exactly which project you want to charge the time to. And remember that the leave request management is a communication process to allow managers to acknowledge and plan resources on that leave information. So you can see the date range here, the hours, and any comments associated. They're listed above the actual timesheet entry box, if you will. I'll still need to populate the leave project with the approved leave request. And let's go to vacation here, and we can take time off. And then submit this. Again, this leave request management system is a process to communicate a request for leave by a user. The manager can report on that impact of this requested leave, reassign resources to cover for that time period, and then approve or disapprove the request based on the information that he's shown. So I'm going to switch back to my slideshow here. All right, just really quickly, I did take the majority of the time here. Let me check on everybody. The chat box here. Okay, be sure to check our future webinar schedule, which is located on our website, theunanet.com, and you need to click on the far right-hand corner for the customer support area. The next CAM webinar is called Managing the Project Lifecycle from Proposal to Close, and it's on June 28th. And I'll be discussing how to manage a project through the entire life cycle and determine how well the project was planned, budgeted, and executed. So when I begin the next contract, I can improve my costs, my schedule, and my allocation of the right people, and ultimately improve the profitability. Please join me for this one in 2 weeks. So more importantly, notice the upcoming Unanet University classes scheduled for the duration of the year. These are a phenomenal way to learn how to implement specific features in Unanet in one day and have the ability to return to your Unanet to apply your knowledge instantly. So what's in the new 9.6 release? Just a little heads up here. You'll be the first to see this. There's burden costs. Currently, they have them with just the project costing reports, but now it's going to be with earned value reports, so that's going to be really big to be able to show those burden costs. Customer interactions and status dialog boxes and storage, that'll be a great. Multi-project invoicing. Right now, our invoicing and billing is just for one project, but you'll be able to invoice across multiple projects. And finally, under the resource management, you'll be able to display utilization while planning periodically, all on the same screen. You'll have enhancements to swapping plan resources, swapping people on different plans, and be able to do that much quicker and more easily. And licensing for those ghost users or TBD users. There'll be a different licensing ability and pricing for ghost users for doing those plan sets. So that's going to be great. The customer account management team welcomes any suggestions on topics that you want to hear about in future webinars. I would love to hear your ideas, so send them to me to cam@unanet.com. And the CAM team really values and appreciates each and every one of you as our customers, and we look forward to working with you to implement leave management in your Unanet system. We are so close out of time here. I'm going to check my question box here to see if there's any questions. If you do have questions, I don't see any right now that are coming through here. Hold on. If you do have further questions, I'll leave this on for a little bit. Oh, I see a hand. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to view questions, but I think my 1 hour limit has passed. So if you can, just type those in for me in your chat box, in your question box, and I will immediately following address those questions for you. We do want to have those questions answered. So if you do type them in here, I'll leave this on, but it's not allowing me to access you now because I've gone over the 60 minutes. So type in your question, and we'll get a report right away, and I'll have your customer account manager respond to you directly to answer questions about accruals, leave requests, demo the live from a GoToMeeting as well. You can check out, I will also, if you're interested in getting the PowerPoint here, I have a lot of great information. I really tried to be really content heavy. So email me at cam@Unanet, and we'll send you a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. And if you want a copy of the recorded version, I have recorded this. So it'll be published within the next 24 hours after it's processed and put on the website for training videos. It'll look there. So send me an email for that, and I'll make sure you get a link to that website on our unanet.com website. I did record this version. So out of time. I know I had a lot of information to cover, so I appreciate your time in joining me, and I look forward to speaking with you and chatting with you about your leave requests. Thanks, and have a great afternoon.